Hey, it's Brock here from Rock Hill Farms, and I've been talking a lot about trying to build the perfect workshop for the variety of things that I do in here. And I've got a couple things left on my list that this shop needs, and one of them's right here in the box. So the things I still feel like I want or need is a shop press, a sandblasting cabinet, and a vehicle lift. Now, the vehicle lift's kind of might be a pipe dream right now. I'm not ready to put that kind of money into it, but man, would I like to have one for that Jeep rebuild. But we've got 2 more sawmills coming in tomorrow that need rebuilt. I'll have some updates on that program here pretty soon. And also tomorrow, I'm officially starting work on the Jeep. So I've got a lot going on, and I've kind of decided that the wood storage can't be here in the shop. It's got to go. We need that space for everything else. But today, the focus is on this shop press. And when I worked in manufacturing, I used a shop press a lot, but it was a different type of shop press. So I'm a little bit skeptical if one of these affordable shop presses will really do the job, but we're going to find out. The presses I was used to, I mean, it's just a massive, like, industrial type of press with a foot pedal, and it was hydraulic, and it would press until something broke. I don't know what the tonnage was on it. This is a 12-ton, kind of like homeowner garage level press. So I'm interested to see how it does. First thing I'm going to do is put it together. I'm not going to do that on camera. Feels like a waste of the viewer's time. But once it's all put together, I'll kind of give you the overview of how much time it took and how much hassle there was in assembly. 90% of building this was really quick. It's just a few bolts to assemble this frame. I thought, man, this is going to be an easy build. And then I ran into a problem with the actual section that holds the jack. You've got a floating part that doesn't bolt to anything. Then you have the top part that bolts on the top. And in between that, you've got your jack that's counterset by some springs. Let me show you what it looks like. So here we've got the jack and the springs. Those springs are under a lot of tension. And I couldn't figure out how to compress this together, especially building it onto the stand, because if I bolted this on, I was trying to hold this up while stretching the springs, and I just couldn't figure out a way to do it. So finally, it's a negative. There's a negative towards the Vevor instruction manual that was sent to me. It's just a part list. It has a bunch of information about operating the press and safety. There are no written instructions in that book telling you how to put this together. So what I ended up doing was putting one spring on, putting the jack in between there, and then squeezing the other side down with the clamp and working it back and forth. And I had to be careful not to let the jack pop out of here. And it was a little bit of a struggle, the process of actually getting this section assembled. Now my hope is that I can just set it in place. And that's going to be iffy, because it could still, if these two parts twist, it could pop loose. And once it's in there, once it's in the frame, it's in the frame. But right now there's nothing holding this. I may even leave this setting on the table and slide the rest of the frame through it. That might be easier than trying to pick that up without it twisting. Now here's where I'm stupid. The whole time I was working on this, I was watching these Jeep rebuild videos when there are other guys who have videos putting this together. I should have been watching that. But we're about done now. So the way I did this was probably goofy, but it has worked. If you have a suggestion, leave it in the comments. Maybe it'll help someone else. Putting it on the table and sliding this into it worked perfectly. Now I just got to put 4 bolts in, and we'll try it out. Now that the press is set up, we need something to put in it. And I've got these mower blades that are bent. It's probably going to be hard for the camera to be at exactly the right angle to pick it up. but there is an 1/8 of an inch of gap here because the blade's bent down. See, it sits perfectly flat on the table to right here. This side, this end is perfectly flat, the middle's perfectly flat. Now if I hang the other side off, it won't do that. There's a curve right there, there's an arc, and there's this gap. And I was trying to straighten these mower blades because they're expensive. And I broke my vise trying to straighten them because the metal's so thick. And I don't have a torch, I didn't heat it or anything. I want to see if this press will straighten that out. In all my previous experience using a shop press, I never used one like this, and I never used it to try to flatten or straighten a part. I was always pressing something out that was seized up. So this will be a learning experience for me. I've tried to get an idea of where the bend starts, and we're just going to press down on it. Let me see if I can fix that camera where you can see the amount of flex I've got. My mower is a Hustler 72-inch cut, and I think a set of new blades for it is around $75 or $80. This set I had decided was no longer worth using because I couldn't straighten them. The edges aren't that bad. There's nicks in them. The edges need sharpened, but they still have a lot of life in them. And I basically decided I could not straighten these well enough to use them. With this press and no experience, these blades are usable again. It only took me a few minutes. So I would say it's almost paid for itself in the first day just by repairing 3 mower blades. And I think one of them was badly bent. I think it was this one. And another one was just slightly bent, and the third one was fine. So, pretty cool. Coming up, I expect to have a ton of uses for this. Now let's talk pros and cons. My expectation compared to what I got, the price, and all of that. So first off, it's smaller than I thought it would be. I thought it would be a little wider this way, and I thought it would be taller. But I shop through Vevor and at Harbor Freight specifically because I cannot afford to buy the nicest shop press around. And most of you already know this, but this is from Vevor. They provided it to me for the channel. I did not pay anything for this. But when I'm buying tools, I shop at Vevor and Harbor Freight and places like that because $150 for this shop press would be the top of my budget if I was buying it. So when you buy something at a minimum price, you have to have an expectation that it's not going to be a premium industrial type of shop press. So it's got a lot of adjustability in that if you had a work piece that was 2 foot tall, you can drop it down on these other holes by pulling the pins right here. That's a must-have feature because that means that this has a working range from like 2 inches to I think 28 inches, something like that. I think it's going to have plenty of power for most things I need to do around the shop, automotive and fabrication. I wish it was taller, but that's not that hard to fix. So if you look down, I've currently got it setting on 2 4x4s. I'll probably raise it another 4 inches because I'm a tall guy. And I'll build a little pallet here that my pallet jack can slide under to move this. Because if I just set it on the floor, it's going to be hard to move. And it's going to be too short. Why not raise it up a little bit with some of the scrap wood I've got? So that's something I'll definitely do. But for the price, I think this is going to make me capable of doing more things than I could before I got it. And 150 bucks is not too bad in 2024. So anyway, I appreciate you taking time to watch the video. I'll put links on the screen to a couple more of our videos, and I'll see you next time.